everyone, and welcome back to Fluent English with Podcast. I'm your host, Sophie.
And I'm Alan. Happy to be here with all of you again today.
Today, on Fluent English with Podcast, we're going to be talking about a topic that everyone experiences at some point in their lives: breakups.
Breakups can be tough. They can leave you feeling sad, lonely, and confused.
Absolutely. But it's important to remember that breakups are a normal part of life, and there is light at the end of the tunnel.
That's right. This podcast is designed to help you improve your English listening and speaking skills through conversations.
By listening to real-life conversations about breakups, you'll learn new vocabulary and expressions related to this topic.
We'll also be exploring different ways to cope with heartbreak and move on with your life.
Today, we'll be focusing on some key vocabulary words that will be used throughout the podcast.
Here are the words we'll be learning.
Dump. To end a romantic relationship.
Heartbreak. Sadness caused by the end of a relationship.
Recovery. The process of getting better after a difficult experience.
Loneliness. The feeling of being alone.
Healing. The process of becoming healthy again.
Acceptance. Understanding and admitting that something is true.
To help us explore this topic in more depth, we'll be joined by special guests throughout the podcast.
Let's start by learning some of these words in context. Listen to this conversation between two friends, Emily and Sam.
Hey Sam, how are you doing?
Hey Emily, not so good actually. My girlfriend just dumped me.
Oh no, Sam, I'm so sorry to hear that. That must be really hard.
It is. We were together for 2 years and I thought things were going well. I don't know what went wrong.
I can understand why you're feeling heartbroken. Breakups are never easy.
Yeah, I feel really lonely right now. I don't know what to do with myself.
It's okay to feel lonely, Sam, but you're not alone. I'm here for you, and you have other friends and family who care about you.
Thanks, Emily. That means a lot.
Absolutely. This is a tough time, but you will get through it. The important thing is to focus on healing and eventually accepting what happened.
You're right. I know it will take time, but I'm going to be okay.
So, in this conversation, we heard how Sam is feeling after his girlfriend dumped him.
Yes, he's feeling heartbroken and lonely, but Emily offers him some words of encouragement and reminds him that he will get through this.
Exactly. We also learned some of our vocabulary words in context. For example, when Sam says his girlfriend dumped him, it means she ended their relationship.
And Emily tells Sam that he's going through a process of healing and will eventually need to accept what happened.
Right. We'll be hearing more about healing and acceptance throughout the podcast. Now, we're excited to hear from our first guest speaker, Sarah. Sarah, can you tell us a little bit about your experience with heartbreak?
Sure, Sophie. A few years ago, I went through a really tough breakup with my boyfriend of 3 years. We had a lot of plans for the future, and I was completely blindsided when he ended things.
Wow, that sounds difficult. How did you feel after the breakup?
I felt heartbroken, of course. I was also really lonely and confused. I didn't know how to move on with my life.
What helped you cope with the situation?
At first, I allowed myself to feel my emotions. It's important to acknowledge how you're feeling after a breakup. But then, I started to focus on self-care. I spent time with friends and family, did things I enjoyed, and started taking better care of myself physically and mentally.
That's great advice, Sarah. So would you say you've healed from the breakup?
Yes, I definitely have. It took time, but I eventually reached a place of acceptance. I realized that the relationship wasn't meant to be, and I was open to finding love again in the future.
Thanks for sharing your story, Sarah. It's a reminder that healing is possible after a breakup.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your experience, Sarah. Now, we're joined by relationship expert David to share some advice for coping with a breakup.
Thanks for having me. Breakups can be incredibly challenging, but there are steps you can take to navigate this difficult time.
Absolutely, David. What are some of your top tips for coping with a breakup?
First, it's important to allow yourself to grieve the end of the relationship. Don't bottle up your emotions. Cry, talk to friends and family, or even write in a journal to express how you're feeling.
That makes sense, but what about moving on? How can someone start to feel better?
There are a few things you can do. First, focus on self-care. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, and exercising regularly. Taking care of yourself physically will help you feel better emotionally.
Good advice. What else can listeners do to move on?
It's also important to surround yourself with supportive people. Spend time with friends and family who make you feel good. They can offer a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on.
Absolutely. And what about the temptation to contact your ex?
It's usually best to avoid contacting your ex right after the breakup. Give yourself some time and space to heal. Once you've had some time to process your emotions, you can decide if there's a reason to reach out.
Thanks for those tips, David. They can be very helpful for someone going through a breakup.
You're welcome. Remember, healing takes time. Be patient with yourself, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.
Thank you, David. Now, we're joined by therapist Lisa to discuss the importance of self-care and healing after a breakup.
Thanks for having me, Alan and Sophie. Self-care is absolutely essential during the healing process after a breakup.
Absolutely, Lisa. Can you elaborate on what self-care means in this context?
Self-care means taking care of your physical and mental well-being. This includes getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, and exercising regularly. It also means engaging in activities that you enjoy and that help you relax and distress.
That makes sense. Can you give some examples of self-care activities?
Sure. Spending time in nature, listening to calming music, taking a relaxing bath, reading a good book, or pursuing a hobby are all great examples of self-care activities.
Those are all wonderful suggestions, Lisa. What else can listeners do to promote healing after a breakup?
It's important to practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself and understand that healing takes time. Don't judge yourself for feeling sad, angry, or confused. These emotions are all normal after a breakup.
Absolutely. And what about seeking professional help?
If you're struggling to cope with the breakup on your own, there's no shame in seeking professional help. A therapist can provide support and guidance as you navigate this difficult time.
Thanks for those important reminders, Lisa. Self-care and compassion are key components of healing from a breakup.
You're welcome. Remember, breakups are a part of life and healing is possible. Be patient with yourself and focus on self-care throughout the process.
Thanks, Lisa. Now, let's listen to a conversation between two friends, Michael and Jessica, who are discussing this very idea.
Hey Jessica, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in a while.
Hey Michael, I'm doing okay. Actually, things are going pretty well.
That's great to hear. What's been going on?
Well, remember how I was telling you about my relationship with Mark? We ended things a few months ago.
Oh yeah, I remember. Sorry to hear that.
Thanks, Michael. But honestly, it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Really? Why do you say that?
We weren't a good fit for each other, and I was kind of unhappy in the relationship. Now that I'm single, I've rediscovered myself. I'm focusing on my career, spending more time with friends, and just taking care of myself.
That's fantastic, Jessica. It sounds like you're really thriving.
I am. The breakup made me realize what I truly want in life. And who knows, maybe someday I'll find someone who's a better match for me.
Absolutely. The most important thing is that you're happy now.
Exactly. Thanks for listening, Michael.
No problem at all, Jessica. I'm so happy for you.
So, in this conversation, we heard Jessica's perspective on her breakup.
Yes, and it's a positive one. She sees the breakup as an opportunity for growth and self-discovery.
Absolutely. Breakups can be a chance to focus on yourself and what truly matters in your life.
This is just one example, of course. Everyone experiences breakups differently.
That's right. The important takeaway is that healing is possible, and sometimes breakups can lead to positive changes in your life.
We hope this conversation has been helpful for anyone going through a breakup or who might experience one in the future.
Absolutely. Remember, breakups are a common experience, and there's no shame in feeling sad, angry, or confused.
It's important to remember that you don't have to go through this alone. There are people who care about you and want to help.
Here are some tips for healing after a breakup.
Limit contact with your ex. This can give you time and space to heal.
Focus on self-care. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, and exercising regularly.
Spend time with loved ones. Surround yourself with supportive friends and family who make you feel good.
Pursue your hobbies and interests. Doing things you enjoy can help take your mind off the breakup and boost your mood.
Be patient with yourself. Healing takes time. Don't expect to feel better overnight.
Absolutely. Breakups can be a challenging experience, but with time and support, you can heal and move forward.
Thank you for joining us for this series on breakups and healing.
We hope you found the information helpful.
Until next time, this is Fluent English with Podcast.